Rap is out of control.
Exactly, but I mean, I had counterparts, but no one before me.
Right.
Up
But
to and said,
as far
wow,
as
I
like a
wanna
friendly
aspire
competition,
to- Melle Mel.
Okay.
Melle Mel is the only person.
Muscle Simmons.
In my whole career life, hip hop, evolution that I ever looked to and said, you know what, let me stay on point for that dude right there.
Outside of just being dope MCs, y'all was showmen. You know what I'm saying? You came up with the ill routines that had people, your tape circulating all over the city and people not even being able to see it but visualizing it. Like, what made y'all come up with that, and what made it so important to you?
Well, I mean, back then it was about groups.
Right.
There was a lot more groups in hip hop then. And we were basically trying to emulate the groups that we saw coming up, you know what I mean, growing up, the Temptations and, the Jackson 5 with the moves and all that, and you know what I mean? Basically, it was show business. So, all of us inside, come from that, that foundation of show business, looking at that and aspiring to be that. So we just incorporated it into hip-hop. I know growing up, listening to the radio, which I don't do anymore, but when I was a kid, we had one radio station. We didn't have no satellite radio. We didn't, wasn't black, white station, red station. It was one station, all right, WABC, and they played everything.
Right.
So all of my early musical influence are all mixed up into all that. So you hear Jackson 5, but then you hear the Osmond Brothers. You know what I mean? You hear James Brown. You hear Paul Simon.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so all our music was kind of balanced. So when I started writing and started getting into the group mentality, it was about doing routines and let me go back. Let me dig into my early musical influence. So when you hear the Cold Crush, you hear Barry Manilow.
Right.
You hear Three Dog Night. You hear, Neil Diamond. You hear, John Denver. You know what I mean?
There's people that still
John
probably
Denver?
There's people that probably only know their routines and have no idea.
They have no
about
idea where the original song comes from, but it sounds familiar to them.
Right.
That's why it's so catchy to them. It's like, wait, hold up, that ain't
right.
But
it sounds like it's supposed to work. Right. It sounds like it's supposed to be something.
Exactly. So I don't know. I just lucked up with putting those melodies over hip hop beats, and it worked.